A big week coming up at the United Nations. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, they're bringing to a resolution to try to get full statehood recognized by the UN on Friday. It's causing quite a rift with the Obama administration, and we're going to break it down here on Top Line. Pleased to be joined by the chief PLO representative to the United States, Man Rashid Arikat, joins us from our New York studios. And Mr. Ambassador, let's start with the latest here. There's a furious negotiations going on to try to get some kind of a compromise. Is there anything that you've heard in the last couple of hours that's intriguing to you that suggests that maybe this won't come to the resolution that we expect it to do, which is a U.S. veto?
Well, I mean, our delegation, the president arrived only last night, and he is right now meeting with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. We haven't had the chance yet to talk to other parties, but the Palestinian decision is clear. We are planning to submit a request to the UN Secretary General and the United Nations for full membership status at the UN.
So is there anything between now and then that the United States or any of the other countries at the UN can do to convince you not to put this forward?
Well, I think we believe that the international community had ample time, enough time over the last year to come up with something that we consider to be a viable alternative. Going to the United Nations did not come out of a vacuum. The reason the Palestinians are going to the United Nations is because of the fact that things on the ground are not changing. They are deteriorating, and Israel continues to control things inside the Palestinian territories. And this status quo simply cannot continue. We are trying to change the political paradigm and get things moving forward so that we can end the conflict based on a two-state solution.
So give us a sense, though, of what might work here. If this is about moving things along, what specifically could you hear from any of the parties involved in this, from the Israelis certainly, but also from the Americans who are involved in this, to say, okay, we can dial this back because we know it's not going to end well for anyone?
Well, I mean, many parties, in addition to the United States, are talking to the Palestinians. Again, the president reiterated repeatedly that if there is a viable alternative, something that will provide hope to the Palestinian people that this time we will be engaged in a genuine process. We'll be talking about substance and not about the process itself. Negotiations are not an end by themselves. It's the outcome of these negotiations. And we have been engaged for the last 20 years in bilateral negotiations, and yet we're still under occupation and we are not free people.
Is your expectation, if indeed this vote goes forward, that it's ultimately to come down to a U.S. veto?
Well, I hope it will not get down to that point. We know that the United States made it clear that they will use their veto. I think the natural role of the United States to vote in favor of Palestinian independence and freedom. We don't seek a confrontation with the United States. We want to maintain a good relationship with the United States. We're still talking to the United States, but we wish that the U.S. would reconsider its position and not veto such a resolution.
Are you concerned at all? Obviously, President Obama has made noises about a Palestinian state. He's been supportive of the concept, although obviously because of the status of things right now isn't supportive of this resolution. Are you concerned that this is going to leave egg on the face of President Obama as this goes forward, that this would be a major rebuke to him and kind of an embarrassment for him to have to exercise that U.S. veto?
Absolutely. We are not trying to do that. We have high appreciation to the president and his administration, but we also need to see something practical, something genuine put on the table to tell the Palestinian people that there is hope to finally establish their independent sovereign state. And we have worked with the administration in the last few months in order to come up with this formula. We are willing to engage if the offer is viable and is practical and offers something new to move this process forward.
And Mr. Ambassador, what happens next? If indeed things go as are being discussed right now, it is either vetoed or voted down, what happens in the Middle East? What happens with other Arab countries in terms of their relationship with the United States?
Well, I mean, this will be a process. There is a certain process to proceed with the request, which will be submitted, and then the Secretary General should ask the UN Security Council to review it. There will be a process. Again, our hope is that it will succeed, and we will be granted the full member state status at the United Nations. The Palestinians are not interested in escalating the situation. We believe that this is the only way to keep the hope alive among the Palestinian people that the two-state solution is viable. And the President Abbas said repeatedly, we will engage in genuine negotiations the day after a resolution is approved at the UN.
But how is this not an escalation? It seems like the whole point of this is to bring this to a head. You guys are you're looking to make more noise about this on the international stage, right?
No, this is not absolutely the purpose. The purpose is a Palestinian declaration that, you know, we cannot continue with this status quo where Israel continue to plant Palestinian territories with illegal settlements, when Israel continue to control the destiny and the fate of 3.5 million Palestinians who have been under occupation for 44 years and continue to defy international law. This is a statement that we want this status quo to end, and we want to end it in a peaceful manner that will allow for two states to live side by side in peace and security.
Okay, now you know that the U.S. is going to veto this if it comes to it on Friday. Short of changing their minds, what's the single biggest thing that the U.S. can do right now to help things along from your perspective?
Well, I think for the United States to understand completely why we are resorting to the venue, to the United Nations, and to understand the level of the frustration on the Palestinian side, and to also clearly say that the Palestinians have been forthcoming and they have worked with every proposal, with every idea that the Obama administration submitted to us in order to get this process moving.
All right, Ambassador Man Rashid Arikat of the PLO in town this week. A big resolution coming up on Friday. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.